Good day, everybody. My name is Damien, and it's my pleasure to welcome you guys to my very first Nuzlocke of Pokemon Sword and Shield. In my many years of doing Nuzlocke runs and watching people play Nuzlockes, I've always been super fascinated by monotype runs because you're always just limited to just one specific type of Pokemon. And I've been fascinated enough that I've decided to finally do a normal type only run in Pokemon Sword. When I look at the Pokedex for the base game, there's a total of 18 normal type families in the game. If I account for Silver Valley, and then the 2 version exclusive Pokemon that I can't get, then that number goes down to 15. However, if I decide to include the Isle of Armor DLC, that number shoots up to 28. I wasn't planning on using the DLC, but I figured I have it already, then why not just use it? With that out of the way, the rules for this Nuzlocke are as follow. Rule number 1. If a Pokemon faints in battle, then it is considered dead and it cannot be used again. Rule number 2. I can only capture one type of Pokemon from each catchable area. Rule number 3. No overleveling in the game. Once I start the gym challenge, it's okay if my Pokemon goes over the level cap. Rule number 4. Battle mode has to be changed to set. Rule number 5. No healing items can be used during trainer battles, however, I can use them during wild Pokemon battles. And rule number 6. The run is not over if I happen to white out. If I still have Pokemon in my PC that are usable, then the run continues. With that out of the way, why don't we go ahead and get our Pokemon journey started in the Galar region, shall we? After a little cutscene at the beginning of the game, we make our way towards Wedgehurst, where we get introduced to Hop's brother, Leon. By the looks of it, he seems to be quite the popular man in Galar for some reason. After a little meet and greet, we get taken back to collect our first Pokemon. Sadly, none of them are part normal types, so we won't be able to use them during our run. I decided to just pick Scorbunny and nickname it Trash. Thankfully, in Route 1, I can finally run into my first encounter, which ends up being a Wooloo. I decided to nickname it Cauliflower, because, well, it looks like a cauliflower. When I check its ability, it sadly has Runaway instead of Fluffy. Fluffy basically allows you to take half damage from physical contact moves at the cost of being double weak to fire type moves. But I'll make it work. When we reach Wedgehurst again, we're forced to talk to Sonia. She requests that we go meet her grandmother for something over at the end of Route 2, which doesn't make me too mad since Route 2 is where we get to find our next encounter, Zigzagoon. Zigzagoon in this game is part Dark type, which is amazing since it'll be helpful against Psychic type. And I lost. Wow, this is embarrassing. Guess if this was a speed run for the quickest Nuzlocke death, I might have won. After having to redo everything for a second time, I make it back to Route 1 where I happen to catch a Squobit that I nicknamed Bell Pepper. Back on Route 2, I run into a Zigzagoon again, and instead of wiping to it, I thankfully managed to catch it. I end up nicknaming her Zucchini. After this, I make my way to Magnolia's lab, where she and Leon are there to tell Hop and I that we have to fight each other to figure out who's going to get an endorsement to the gym challenge. I honestly thought that this fight was going to be really easy until I realized that some of my Pokemon are a little underleveled. And aside from that, Hop has 3 Pokemon, and I have 2. When we start the fight, I lead with Zucchini and Hop leads with Wooloo. The fight against Wooloo isn't too much to write home about. It doesn't become interesting until he decides to send a Grookey and he starts to talk about green power. It's a little weird, but okay. Grookey hits me with a Branch Poke, which does a decent amount of damage, while I retaliate with a Tackle. At this point, I'm starting to wonder if my Pokemon have enough HP to survive the poking that this monkey's gonna do to me. I decide to stay in and continue whittling away at its HP. Grookey hits me with a Scratch that brings me down to 1 HP, which, let me tell you, it's really, really close. And I retaliate with one last Tackle. This is where I realized that Hop actually had 3 Pokemon, and I'm left with a 1 HP Squovit and an 11 HP Zigzagoon. I start to contemplate what I'm going to do here, and I just ultimately decide to switch over to Zucchini and hope I don't get crit. I bring her in, and Zucchini takes a peck to the face without taking too much damage. I decide to hit back with Tackle and I get a super lucky crit against Rickety, which brings it below half health. I thankfully survive another peck and I manage to take down the bird with one last Tackle. I honestly wasn't expecting to make it out of this battle alive, but I'll take this victory as a good omen of what's to come. Hop and I both head over to the train station where we're greeted off on our journey by our mothers. After a short little cutscene, we finally arrive at the wild area and I can catch a good amount of our new members. I immediately made my way over to the Drapewood Grove to run into my first encounter, which was a Hoot Hoot. I tried my best to capture the owl, but I ended up just losing my Zigzagoon, and I almost lost my Squidward in the process too. I was super puzzled why I couldn't capture the Hoot Hoot, since Hoot Hoot has like a catch rate of like 252. Either way, I left super salty and just decided to go to Motostoke to go heal my Pokemon. After that small Pokemon Center heal, I decided to go to East Lake Axwell where I decided to catch myself a Bunnelby that I nicknamed Carrot. After that, I found Stuffle in West Lake Axwell and I nicknamed him Artichoke. I was feeling a little bit more confident, so I continued my story progression where I fought and won against Hop, and then I headed back to the wild area to catch my last Pokemon, which was a Pidove. I managed to capture it and nickname her Celery. I start to make my way through Route 3 where I run into this schoolgirl named Hannah. She sends out a Pancham and I start to freak out a little bit. I made the decision to switch into Artie where I proceed to bulldoze the panda. It then uses Circle Throw, lands a crit, and knocks out my only fighting type of the run. So in the span of not even 20 minutes, I somehow managed to lose 2 Pokemon that I was really looking forward to using. But, oh well, I guess things like this happen, so I decided just to continue. I end up going through Galar Mine, where I have a close call with a few of the miners, and then end up having to fight Beat at the end of it. The fight goes decently well until I have to fight Hatena. I managed to get a crit from Air Cutter, which sadly doesn't even do half of its health. I switch into Carrot, since my run hinges on having some type of flying type Pokemon for this first gem. Carrot sadly goes down fighting Hatena, but it manages to do enough so that Celery can come in with the kill with Air Cutter. At this point, I'm down to just 2 Pokemon, with my only other encounter being a Wooloo on Route 4. At this point, it doesn't look too promising, but I decided to persevere. On Route 4, I do manage to catch myself a Wooloo that I decided to nickname Pickle, and I start to make my way towards the gem. I don't really understand how herding sheep counts as a gym challenge. It feels more like I'm just doing someone's job for free. Regardless, I bring the Wooloo back to their pens and proceed to fight Milo. My strategy at this point is to just rely on Celery since it's the only Pokemon that can really do anything in this fight. I load my Pokemon up with berries and I make a realization, Pickle doesn't have a single attacking move. I guess I should have looked at that before I came in here, huh? Either way, I enter the field where I begin my fight with Milo. Celery manages to take out Glossifleur with just 2 Air Cutters pretty easily. However, once Edelgast comes out, everything derails. I decide to Dynamax Celery to hopefully do enough damage to it, but it's to no avail. Celery goes down to max Overgrow, and Edelgast proceeds to just dismantle my last 2 Pokemon. And with that, my second attempt at this run comes to an end.